heavy rain and Bengaluru came to a standstill. There were boats and fish on roads that had turned into rivers. What went wrong? Who is responsible for fixing it? And what is the way ahead? We're at the headquarters of the Bruhat Bengaluru Mahanagara-palike, the BBMP, the City Corporation. And joining us to discuss what can be done to really get us out of this mess, we are very happy to have the BBMP Commissioner, Mr. Manjunath Prasad. We have scientist TV RAMACHANDRA from the Indian Institute of Science, who has studied lakes for years, brand guru Harish Bijor, and several members from very active citizens groups as well. Sridhar from Namma Bengaluru, Ilangavan from Whitefield Rising and their colleagues, and also some students who hopefully will have some ideas ahead. Our generation doesn't seem to have done so well. Firstly, that crazy Friday. Anyone has any stories from that day?
Well, I travelled in. The rain chased me. I was in Gurugram, as we call it now, and then I landed in Bangalore.
On the same day?
On the same day. So, I had a mixed set of issues on both the days. But I think, these two are sister cities today. As I keep saying, we hold hand in hand. And I think the issues are common. The road site is common. Traffic sense and maintenance is common. And the idea of the citizens as to how to drive is common.
So it was you actually who brought the rain. Now we know one cause. Were you out that fateful Friday?
I was, unfortunately, and it took me 3 hours to get from Kumulagur to Nagawara, and in the way we were stuck and we couldn't move even for 2 kilometers in an hour or so, and people were out there just randomly walking and getting off to take food and everything. We were all stuck there. It was like a picnic on the road.
A day which Bengaluru and people here will not forget. Sir, coming to you, what did happen? It wasn't a record rainfall. What went wrong? Why did our roads turn into rivers?
Maya, if you look at this, this is not a phenomenon or a episode that has happened just today. You have to look at the past and see, who have contributed and what has really happened.
Yes.
If you look at Bangalore, the terrain and the contour is such that we have a number of lakes. And all those lakes are interconnected. We have the stormwater drains. So when it precipitates, the water from the stormwater drains goes to these lakes. And it's all interconnected. Now, why such a situation has happened? If you look at over a period of time, many of the lakes have vanished in Bangalore. 1985, we have a report which says that almost about 385 lakes are there. Today, if you look at it, there are about 210 lakes. Number of lakes have vanished. And then you come up to the stormwater drains. As the name itself says, they're meant for carrying the stormwater. But if you look at in Bangalore today, our stormwater drains are carrying even the sewage. There should be a separate lines for the sewage and the stormwater drain. The sewage since in Bangalore, about half of the total capacity, we have about sewage generated is about 1400 MLD. But how much sewage it's going to the sewage treatment plant is about 50%. So remaining 50%, almost 700 MLD of sewage comes to the stormwater drain. The stormwater drains are designed for a particular capacity. It is meant for carrying the rainwater. Having born and brought up in Bangalore, there was a time when we used to get down into the stormwater drain playing that stormwater
drain. It was
so
clean.
It was so clean. And the stormwater drains, you could see water only in 2 or 3 months. Today in Bangalore, you go to any stormwater drain, you see the water the entire year.
Now, the Commissioner has spoken a lot about the lakes. Professor, you've studied the lakes of the city for years now. Is it simple enough to say that it's the encroachments, it's the way our lakes have been treated?
When you look at the lakes, we had large number of lakes. We have lost 79% of lakes and 18% of green cover in the city.
79% of our lakes are gone.
Yeah, and 88% green cover. See, we lost the sponges which was retaining the water. And also we have lost the mechanism which used to transport this water. See, stormwater drain, if you look at the statistics in BBMP says, 850 kilometer is a stormwater drain and 400 kilometer is encroached. Why are they unable to remove those encroachments, lake encroachments? See, I would say that the flood, I have reported in 2009, given the report to the ministry and also Karnataka government, including BBMP. 2012 we published again. Whatever the causal factor I talked about, even today it holds good.
Now,
see, when you look
you said most of the lakes had been encroached upon.
Yeah.
How many? What percentage of lakes have been encroached?
It's actually 97% of the lakes in the city is encroached and 90% are sewage fed. See, this indicates that we have very fragmented, inefficient and most corrupt administration or the governance in the region.
So corruption, that is such a huge issue. Now, you have also been very concerned about lake issues and all that. When you try to deal with the authorities, do you find it is the corruption, is it the lack of will, is it the lack of knowledge? What is the issue?
I think there is no accountability at all. For instance, 3.25 acres of Belandur Lake was encroached, and it took us 3 years to get it back. And in spite of multiple pleadings with the civic authorities, BBMP included, they did not budge. At last we had to go to the National Green Tribunal, and there we had to get a judgment. And I think that's where the critical thing is. The problems are not unknown, right? The number of lakes encroached, the Raj Kalves encroached. Why aren't we moving? Is it so difficult for us to get half of our encroached Raj Kalves removed? We should understand that it is a shifting problem. Bangalore was wonderfully designed to take care of torrential downpour of double the size of what we saw 2 days ago. And we have made it upon ourselves that we will inflict this wound on ourselves. This suicidal tendency is something that I don't understand.
Suicidal tendency. Ilangavan, you've also worked a lot on the lakes near your home, whether it's Belandur, Yamalur, the famous foamy lakes.
That's right.
The famous foamy lakes of the city.
Right.
So what has gone on?
I think the one thing, like what the professor said, one is the lakes have vanished, many of them have vanished, stormwater drains have vanished. The other problem is due to climate change. What you are seeing now is lot more intense rains on fewer days than what we used to see before, right? Even though the quantum of rain in a year may be the same, these are how it rains has changed. At least that's what we are seeing, right? And it actually could handle up to 15 centimeters of rain at a stretch or whatever, but today even a 40 millimeter cannot hold, and the climate has changed, right? How it rains. So the problem is if we don't get the encroachments back, I think that is where, sir, our request is the legal cell of BBMP has to be strengthened many
fold. The legal cell to actually take legal action.
Anybody can go to court and get a stay order on when you want to remove the encroachments, right? So what are we doing about removing the stays?
What are
right?
we doing about
and so
it?
that is where we need to step up in terms of probably hiring the best lawyers, and get the best, build that capacity within BBMP. If not, get the external help, and the volunteers are here to help out.
Exactly, yeah, because we have some very active citizens now. Foaming lakes, we discussed, fish, boats on the rivers. What is this doing to this image of Bengaluru? What is happening to our IT city, the IT capital?
Well, the image is going back to the Vedas, the way we were to where we want to be. But if you really look at it, the problems of Bengaluru are really heritage problems. Not as a heritage as the building that we are in front of, but I would link it with liberalization. We are celebrating 25 years of liberalization this year. And I would say 20 years, Bengaluru has gone step by step. We have built wantonly, we have encroached wantonly, and we have not shown the will to sort out problems. See, a city like Dubai, for instance, has been built in a desert. You took a desert and made it into a beautiful city. Here, we take an oasis called Bengaluru 20 years ago, and we create a desert out of it, and I think that is the disaster. If you really look at it, the brand image of Bengaluru is totally shaken, stirred, and I think all this is a function of a lack of will to implement issues. There's just one solution. I do believe the solution is unbuild Bengaluru.
Unbuild Bengaluru.
Yeah, we have built Bengaluru for far too long. Now is the time to say unbuild. Go after every encroachment, go after everybody who's done something wrong, and go after it, with your crane bedi kind of mentality, in the sense that I think we need to ensure that further buildings don't encroach, and rectify everything that's gone wrong, and go behind everyone who was responsible for these encroachments. And there are 3 entities out there. All of us know what those 3 entities are. I'm not going to define that.
Unbuild Bengaluru. I like that idea. Now, who is in charge? We had a minister in charge of Bengaluru, KJ George, who had to resign for other political reasons. But who is really in charge? We are here at the BBMP, the City Corporation, but there are other bodies as well. Is it sometimes difficult, sir, to actually get a concerted, coordinated effort because of the different divisions? Who actually looks after the city?
See, if there is a will and it has to be done, and it can be done. Last few months, I took charge about 3 months back. We have surveyed and identified what are the number of encroachments that are built just on the stormwater drain.
Yes.
I stood there and demolished a number of encroachments. There are 1,800 encroachments on the stormwater drains which is there. Out of which in the last few months we have demolished about 825 encroachments. And this has to be a continuous process, and these have not come up overnight. If you look at this, these are buildings which have been constructed about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And in the places where it flooded, if you go there and see, just on the embankment of the lake, buildings have been constructed. I mean,
how does that happen? We spoke about corruption. How is that allowed to happen? I know you've taken over recently, but is it...
I'm telling you, this has happened with the connivance of the officers, connivance of the elected representatives and the citizens. All of us, all the stakeholders are responsible for the mess in which we are. All have come together, collided, and we are in this mess.
Absolutely, it's a responsibility of all of us, because we have a shot here of a totally encroached. What is this picture
Well,
about?
this looks like a normal road, but this used to be a Raj Kalwe, and there is a road built on a Raj Kalwe.
Okay.
And this has not been desilted for the last 10 years. And how do you expect the water not to flood the roads?
We are going into the water, it's not the water coming to us.
It's a road now.
It's a road now.
So we have
That's the thing, like as you were saying, the citizens also have to play a part, and we do have here in Bengaluru some very active, very vibrant, very articulate and aware citizens groups. But what can you do? Do you sometimes feel powerless? Do you also, what do you do? Who do you approach?
Because when we go to the authorities, like even today, we don't know, like this encroachment, who do we go and complain this to? Because if we go to somebody, they'll say go to BDA, he'll say go to BMTF, right? Or go file a case in Lokayukta, or go to the court. So I think that is where the fundamental problem is. Who's I think Sridhar said, who's accountable? I think heads have to roll. I think that's where we have to start. In fact, in one of the Lokayukta hearings, the judge said, just because I haven't taken action till now doesn't mean that I will not hold you individually responsible in future. I think that is where we have to go. I think this passing the buck between BDA, BBMP, BWSSB, LDA, all that has to stop. Hold one person accountable for a task. If something goes wrong, that is the head that has to go. I think that is where we have to start.
Is that feasible, sir? Like as you were saying, you talked about the sewage in the lakes and the stormwater drains, that's BWSSB. The BBMP is responsible for maybe the roads, for the BDA again is in charge of the lakes. Maybe what do we do? Would one single body help?
See, it cannot happen like that. Sewerage, if something wrong with the sewage going into the stormwater drains, you can't hold BDA as responsible. There is a specific entity to look after specific work. It is the responsibility of, for example, BWSSB to ensure that no sewage goes into the stormwater drain. Similarly, it is the responsibility of the BBMP to ensure that the stormwater drains don't get encroached. And if there are encroachments, removal of this is the responsibility of the BBMP.
But do you find that there is passing of the buck, saying people saying this?
I mean, everybody is clear. What is your task? What is the other task? The task is very clear. I can't say that stormwater drains doesn't belong to me. It all belongs to the BBMP. And if it is encroached in this one, I am responsible for that. Removal of the encroachments, I am responsible. Similarly, when you give permission for the layouts formations on the tank bed, BDA is responsible. So clear-cut demarcation of responsibilities between different agencies are there. And if there anything goes wrong, that particular agency has to be held accountable for the lapses.
So you feel the different departments do work. Would you agree that different departments and many different departments will work? Are they working?
As Ilangovans has said, there's really a difficulty in identifying who are the corresponding departments. It might be very true at this level for sir to say that our roles and responsibilities are very clear cut. But from a common man's perspective, it is still not very much identifiable. Whom do we go and approach, and how do we find out solutions from? And then the efforts have been not concerted as I have seen across years. So there is a willingness to work on several aspects, but then they are not knowing the other entities who are also into the work. So here, a sort of a concerted effect and a sort of a belief between the departments to really help evolve the situation and understand the problems much better.
Harish, you've been in management. Does this make sense to you, the different departments kind of dividing responsibilities? Do you think it is working?
See, in management, you typically have verticals, and each vertical looks after stuff. But there is a CEO as well, who actually integrates all of this. I think that element is missing. We have the verticals, but the horizontal, the top CEO is missing.
So you can have the BBMP looking at the storm drains and the BDA, the layouts.
I frankly do believe that the BBMP is the third level of governance in a city. The first level is the union government, and then you have the state government, and then you have the BBMP. Today, I think the BBMP is also all about local self-governance as well. And we have 198 corporators looking after it. I think the BBMP must be empowered to be bigger. We have changed the name from BMP to BBMP. We have made it Bruhata, but I don't think we have given the BBMP the kind of clout that it requires. My way of looking at it is make BBMP the primary entity to look after it, make it the CEO of the city, and I think then we are talking the right language.
So we have the BWSSP, the BDA actually reporting to it.
Absolutely, because we have a mayor in the city. But hey, listen guys, the mayor is responsible for a particular set. So we would like, Bengaluru possibly deserves a sheriff. We need a sheriff who looks after the city interests in a significant manner. And I think all of this should dovetail into either a sheriff or the commissioner of the BBMP must be made much more powerful than he is today.
Oh dear. So all those letters, all those departments, who's in charge? Do we need a sheriff in Bengaluru? Is it corruption? Is it what is stalling the city? Lots of suggestions have come in so far, and we'll continue that discussion after a short break. Welcome back. So perhaps it's not so much a case of lake water coming into homes as homes going into lake water. Professor, why are lakes so important? Aren't they a luxury in a city like this?
If you look at the quantity of rainfall, what we get in the city, if we harvest it, we have 15 TMC of water, 1000 million cubic feet. And our demand in the city is about 16 to 18 TMC. Our lakes have the ability to store about 35 TMC. This is how our elders have created a system for a decentralized...
Instead of which we're bringing our drinking water from Kaveri 100 kilometers away.
No need. No Kaveri, no Ethin Hole, all those senseless, foolish things should not happen. Let us harvest the rainwater more efficiently through the lakes. And second thing is, lakes also moderate the climate. Wherever lakes are there, temperature is 2 to 3 degrees lower. And groundwater recharge happens. Wherever lakes are there, you get a water at 60 to 70 feet.
The terrible record temperatures we had this year of 39.2. Sir, what goes ahead? You said that you've already demolished many of those illegal constructions. We've hit about 800 crores for work on stormwater drains, but we were also told that it could not be finished before the monsoon.
Maya, let me tell you that in Bangalore, total drains, if you take, it is about 846 kilometers of drains are there. But if you look at how much of these drains are fully, we can call it as the proper drains, how much work has gone in the retaining wall and the desilting and making up this drain. For every kilometer, it costs about 7 crores.
7 crores. So the 800 crores is not enough for those 800.
I'm just coming to it. Till now in Bangalore, we have proper cemented and concreted drains is about 150 kilometers. Now we are taking about another 100 kilometers of this one. So that comes to about 250 kilometers. So still you are left with 600 kilometers, for which we require about 5,000 crores. Otherwise, we have not touched it. This has not been a priority area.
5,000 crores. I thought 800 crores was a huge amount to a lot in the budget.
It requires 5,000 crores. So we have got study conducted by technical consultants like IISc. They have been involved, prepared a roadmap for that. We have mapped each and every encroachments on these drains. It has to be a concerted effort. The state government has to support the BBMP in this one. Only then all this can be done. We see a great opportunity in this problem to clean up the system.
You did mention earlier the collusion really between corrupt officials and also the public who know perhaps that they're doing a violation. Is there some kind of concerted effort to look at that, to get some close eye on the irregularities, on the corruption?
See, all I feel is that each and every information has to be put on public domain. The citizens have to be involved right from the day of planning. Now, if I sanction a plan in BBMP, the neighbor doesn't know what plan I have sanctioned. If I put it on the public domain, then the neighbor will know that such a plan has been sanctioned by BBMP and whether the neighbor is consulting according to the bylaws. And secondly, we see a lot of violations of the bylaws. If we come out with modification to our existing bylaws so that it will be a great deterrent for citizens to build this houses in this lake bed layouts, what has exactly happened is the areas which are flooded, they are all just below the road. And this has been built over the last 10-15 years.
We have gone into the lakes and then we're worried that the lake water comes. What do we have here?
So this is what I'm showing is the Varthur Lake area.
Yes.
Where the
Varthur Lake being one of those famous foamy lakes.
Foamy lakes, where the local garbage pickup guys are dumping zero value waste in the lake, right? So it's a matter of clearing the drains from this sewage. These garbage is actually blocking the stormwater drains.
So the stormwater drains being blocked.
Enforcing
Yeah, I think see, this is the other big elephant nobody wants to talk about, right? So the High Court has directed, saying so segregate at source, right, and compost, recycle, and then the rest has to go to landfill.
So
But the garbage mafia is one more mafia in the city which doesn't allow this
So
to
the
happen.
huge issue, the problem itself of garbage in the city, also adding to this whole Bengaluru underwater issue. Let's hear from some youngsters now. Any thoughts about what is going wrong? What do you think we should do to go ahead to rescue Bengaluru?
Well, the fact that half of the city is facing this problem and the other half does not, we should see what the disparity is, and we should see what the difference is in the drainage system and the sewage system, that the half which is
Surviving half.
yeah, the surviving half, how it survives.
What do you think?
I think we need to know who's responsible for this.
Yes.
First of all,
Yeah.
more than that, we need to make our system clearer where citizens can approach officials easily.
Okay, who do you approach and how to approach them?
Yeah, I mean, I was in Chennai in December when the entire thing happened there.
Okay.
And I think what is happening here is not a very Bengaluru specific problem. It's a pan-Indian problem. People don't know who to approach. If they approach, they aren't reciprocated to properly.
Causal factors are the same.
Yeah.
Chennai or Bangalore.
Yeah, so it's a pan-Indian problem, and I don't think it's Bangalore specific as such.
Okay.
I think that the citizens itself wash their responsibility in this, because the citizens are the one who build these encroachments. They're the one who seek approval in encroached lands.
It's not just to say somebody else has to fix it.
Exactly. So we have to take responsibility. So we need to do that.
I feel Bangalore is a city where the computers are getting faster but the drainage systems are getting slower. I don't think that's how it should work.
Governance is also slow.
Yeah, I really don't think that's how it should flow, and people should start focusing on things that are really important right now. I think everything is going down the drain.
or not going down the drain, as the case may be. There are so many concerned people here who want to make a difference to the city. Can we still throw Bengaluru a life raft, a life jacket before the city completely drowns? Thank you for joining us here on this special discussion at the City Corporation headquarters.